Hello, cuties. It's time for stats. Hi. It is time for the final Herkyed, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, round 1 finale stats. I have finished compiling the stats for the completed submission form and the didn't complete submission form, and I've combined them to figure out who stands on top. Now, I will say that the participation in Herkyed 1 did dwindle, at least in terms of submission forms. So these results may not actually reflect the truth, but it is the truth as far as I was able to get from the data that I collected. Okay? So yeah, we're going to get into it. I have 150 slides. I will say also for round 2 people, I will be doing stats videos quarterly just because there are so many submission forms to go through in order to create these stats, and I now have a full-time job again, so yay. But I definitely won't have the manpower behind me to compile all these stats. Okay, cool. I'm gonna take these off though because that's reflective, but you know, they're still there. They're still there. My glasses are still there. I don't actually need glasses. Those are just blue light. Okay, let's make myself tiny. Even tinier. I think I'll hang up, hang out. Right up top here. I'll be a little tiny thing so you can see all the beautiful stats, everybody. Are you ready? I don't know what this voice is, but I hope you're ready. Round 1 stats. Okay, in total, I did look at the original sign-up form to see who authentically really participated from like start to finish almost, or at least who signed up in time. And that was 594 participants. So with Herkyed 2, by the way, we do have over 3,000 people who have signed up. So we've seen significant growth. Of those 594 participants, 91 survived. That is the total amount of people who filled out the submission forms. And I count that as survived. But of the 91 who survived, 71 actually won Herkyed. Dark Q is severely displeased. It's fine. We used, in total, collectively, of these 91, so all these stats coming forward, they're from the 91. 158 freebies were used every month. We had a freebie, much like how in Herkyed 2, we have these secret prompts. And there will, in fact, be a secret prompt. Possibly. Maybe. I haven't decided yet in this video. But there could be, so pay attention. This is the graph of the pie chart of who used them. So some people didn't even need to use them. For those who won, 41 people didn't use a single freebie and still won. So big champions there. 31 people did use it and won. 10 people did use it and survived. 10 people didn't use it but still survived. So well done to you guys. In total, we read over 10,000 books. Collectively. At least in the 91. We definitely read a lot more. Just people dropped out from submission forms, and that's totally cool. That's why I restructured Herkyed 2 the way it is, so that people didn't have to keep being on the lookout for those forms to pop up. 8,449 of those were from winners, and 1,836 were from survivors. So well done. Jeez Louise. That's a lot of books read. Anonymous read the most, so they did not actually put their name in it, but they read the most, and they didn't even complete Herkyed, but they still read 307 books. So well done, Anonymous, if you want to come forward and tell me who you are. That's an achievement in itself. But of the winners, the most read was by Libby, who completed 173 books, and was the first one to complete Herkyed. Libby was on top of it, especially with like the new releases. Super on top of getting those in right at when they needed to come. On average, it took people 117 books to complete Herkyed. And for myself, it took me 140. 140, and I did not double up at all. And I didn't use any freebies. All right, our favorite white prompts. These stats are really funny to me. All right, so oops, I kind of jumped the gun, but the Seasons Challenge was in 3rd place. The Booktuber Rex and non-US, UK, or Canada settings was 2nd place. And our favorite white prompt was actually quite surprising, being the Blurb Challenge, which I thought a lot of people didn't like, but apparently the majority of people who filled out the submission form did. So that we have a pretty even grouping of our chart here, so not bad. Our least favorite white prompts were not surprising to me. The first is being the top 10 book in your birth year. Second being the 5 lowest rated books. And number 1 being the Spiffbo non-finalist. Mostly, I think this is partially because not everybody reads fantasy. So it's a struggle. But also as non-finalists, like, maybe they weren't the best. But it does depend on what you chose. Our favorite purple prompts. This is one of my favorite stats because it's so funny to me. In 3rd, we have the spell your name. 2nd, we have the queer alphabet. And 1st was new releases, which I thought people were really struggling with. But apparently they still really liked that added challenge. But our least favorite purple prompts, and this is where it gets funny. In 3rd place, we have the genre challenge. Pretty easy, not really extensive. 2nd was spell your name. And 1st was new releases, so we're pretty split. We're pretty evenly split between people liking the releases and hating the new releases, and liking spell your name and hating spell your name. I thought that was very, very funny. For 500 pages in the day, we're going to get into kind of the books that were the top. So as you see the little 2 up here, this means I had at least a duplicate of them. We had Blankets by Craig Thompson, which is 582. This is a graphic novel. Crooked Kingdom, which is 561, not a graphic novel. Fourth Wing for 517, not a graphic novel. My Brother's Husband by Gengoro Tagame, which was 704 pages, but not a graphic, or it is a graphic novel. And Spit 3 Times by David Riviati by 568. I think that's a graphic novel. I'm not sure now. But for people who had triple submissions, Jade City by Fonda Lee, which is 540 pages, not a graphic novel. And then On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden, 533 pages, is a graphic novel. And the most blurbed authors, not everybody listed exactly who was like the first book and then the blurb. So this is kind of like the most names that came up. We had 4 people have Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez. 5 people do Casey McQuiston, Emily Henry, T. Kingfisher, and Travis Baldry. 7 were for Ali Hazelwood. And 9 for Freya Marsky. I was actually pretty surprised. I didn't realize Freya Marsky was such a popular author to blurb. But I love that for her. Our most read authortubers. This was very fun to see as well. I have a lot of stats. So, for people who did at least 3, or had 3 submissions, Miranda Munt, Lindsay Ellis, Alice Oseman, Katie Wismer, Rebecca Thorne, Lex Croucher, and Margaret Pernard. We had 4 submissions for Lizelle Sambury, Laura Nettles, Kat Cho, Jean Menzies, and Ember May. 5 for Sarah Cannon, and 6 for V.E. Schwab, Willow Heath, and Hank Green. 8 for Elizabeth Wheatley, Sharon J. Zhao, and Tycho Dwellis. 9 for Jen Campbell. 12 for Abby Emmons, 16 for John Green and Alexa Dunn, 18 for Brandon Sanderson, but the number 1 authortuber read for this prompt was me! It's me! I did it! 28 of you read one of my books, so thank you guys so much. That's to beat Brandon Sanderson, wow. That feels like an accomplishment all in itself. Suck it, Brando Sando. I'm just kidding, I love you. Okay, our most read series. So people who doubled up, or not doubled up, but 2 people who each submitted the series. We have An Ember in the Ashes by Sabatier, which is 4 books. Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. I don't know how to say that name, which is 7 books long. Orange by Ichigo Takano, which is 7 books long. Cinder, which is 4 books long, unless they also read Ferris and Stars Above, but those are kind of like companions. So essentially it's a 4-book series. And The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, 4 books. Most read series, though, was Cruel Winter. Well, it's the whole center. It's Under the Mistletoe, I think. Under the Mistletoe is the series. It's actually a bunch of different authors. This is just the first one. So I put that as Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. It's a 5-book series, and they're all Amazon original stories. And I think they're all pretty short as well. But they're all kind of holiday themed. But yeah. That counts. It works. You can do a series by multiple authors. It's fine. All right. Our most watched booktubers. We have 3 for each of Chloe Frizzle, Kathy Trithart, Rainy Blue Reads, Reading Nymph. She is book and busy. 4 for 4 Paws in a Book. I thought that was pretty apt. Hey Booktubes as well for 4. For 7, we have The Reading and Writing Life, Amanda. And I'm number 8. I got 8 people reading for me, but Leandra, the TBR 0 for 9. 0, 0. Every time I see Leandra, the TBR 0, I just want to start singing Hercules. And I don't know why. You know? I don't know. All right, our most read countries that we read. We read all over the world. Look at this map. We read so many countries, excluding US, UK, and Canada. That's what this prompt is. Most books came from Japan. Yay! It's fine. I'm fine. Australia with 27. France. Sorry, I can't do it without not going France. France and South Korea both with 23. China with 22. Sweden with 17. Germany with 16. Egypt with 13. Italy with 12. Iceland, India, New Zealand with 11. And Asura did help me out with some of the stats here and made the map for the countries we didn't get to. So this is your target, except for obviously US, UK, and Canada. Ignore those. But all around here, we didn't hit these ones. So that's your challenge. This is not the secret prompt. For those thinking, oh, this must be the secret prompt. It's not the secret prompt. But, you know, it'd be a cool challenge if we can get anyone from these areas, these countries. It'd be pretty cool. All right. Our best, lowest rated. So we all have very different TBRs, and what's going to be the lowest rated on my TBR is going to be different from somebody else's lowest rated on the TBRs. But 2 people enjoyed Catherine House, which has an average rating of 3.12 on Goodreads. I did it by Goodreads because that's what I use mostly. I know. I wish I liked Storygraph more, but I don't. Bored to Death with an average rating of 3.07. 3 people read that one. And our worst lowest rated was Acts of Service by Lillian Fishman and Holy Knit by Deborah Alexander. Acts of Service has an average rating of 3.06. This has a 2.59. I am so intrigued to know why this book is so low rated, because it looks super cute. I don't know why. I'd love to hear, if you read this book, let me know your thoughts on why this is the worst and why it deserved to be called the worst lowest rated book on your TBR. All right, most common indie books bought directly from the author. Y'all are so nice. Search for the Phoenix, 2 of you bought it. Although I did see someone comment on the submission form that they're like, I didn't realize it was YA. It's not YA. It's an adult book. It's just not spicy, but they're all adults. It is very much an adult book. So just to clear that, it's not YA. It's an adult book. And then also my mini memoir, Unfortunately I Exist. 5 of you read that, and 6 of you did the Humane Society for Creatures and Cryptids. These were the only duplicates. I swear, I'm not making this up. But thank you guys so much for supporting me as an author. I really, really appreciate it. If you haven't read them yet, check it out. Apparently Herkid 2, we're going to do a read-along for Humane Society. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I have thought about doing kind of live readings of Humane Society for that read-along. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. The audiobook is kind of paused because I haven't heard back from my narrator. So I don't know what's going on there. So we'll see. All right. Most common local indie authors. There wasn't one. There wasn't one. Whoops. Nobody duplicates, so none of you live near each other. All right, our best Spiffbo non-finalists. We had a few of these. Carpet DM by Justin Lee Anderson. Oak King, Holly King by Sebastian Nothwell. Tea and Empathy by Shanna Swenson. And The Afterlife Experiment by Sam Weiss. These were the ones people were saying were their favorite of reading the Spiffbo non-finalists. But number 1 was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, with 3 people reading it, and I highly recommend reading this one. I don't know how it wasn't a finalist, because this book is so good. It's so good. Although I will say the sequel, 10,000 Stitches, even better. All right. But actually, sorry, it wasn't number 1. Number 1s were Susan, You're the Chosen One by Loretta Hignett, and The Werewolf of Whitechapel by Susanna Rowantree. Check them out. No, that wasn't. Oh my gosh, I don't even know my whole thing. Curse Cocktails, S.L. Rowland, had 7 people think it was the best. This is the one that was in my group for Spiffbo that I thought was going to win. I thought was going to beat me, and I was just going to stay a semi-finalist. But Kitty G chose my book, and I'm forever grateful. But I'm actually hoping to get a copy of Cursed Cocktails shortly from Ingram Spark as an Ingram Spark reviewer and be able to review this one because I do love the concept of it. I'm hoping, because it is kind of cozy and it's giving Legends and Lattes, and I didn't really care for Legends and Lattes all that much, but I'm hoping maybe I'll like this one. Maybe it was just Legends and Lattes wasn't for me, and I was too engrossed in the coffee industry already that it already wasn't just not something I wanted to read. But also, I don't drink, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, our most read webcomics. We had a bunch of people duplicate this. We had Breakfast of the Gods, Crumbs, which I've actually read, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, Freaking Romance, Hooky, Nimona, Gourmet Hound, Digger Unearthed, Lore Olympus, and Unfamiliar. We also had the Tea Dragon Society, which, dear Lord, I want to get my hands on, but I can't find copies of it anywhere. And See You in My 19th Life. But our number one was Check Please, which I actually have the first volume of it. Would love to read that one. Yay. All right. Most read top 10 book in your birth year. This was very interesting to see because now I know your ages. I'm just kidding. We have, for people, two people who each read these, we have Return of the Jedi, and 2 John Grishams. We have The Client and The Pelican Brief. None of these seem, I mean, I would read Return of the Jedi, but I don't have any inclination to read John Grisham. None whatsoever. For no reason. No reason other than his name is bigger than well, it's actually pretty much the same font size, I suppose. But I think it's sold by the name rather than the story. And that's a pet people find. Anyway, 3 people read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, The Bridges of Madison County by Robert James Waller, and Misery by Stephen King, including myself. I had to read this one. But number 1 was Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. I honestly have never even heard of this one. Wild. Our most common birth year, because we could do the math though, however, for those submissions was 1987. 6, 1985, 9 of you, and 1992, 10 of you, born in 1992. I see you. All right, for our 24-hour challenge, this is just kind of like how people felt about it, you know? It was okay. We had 36.7% people say it was okay. 15.6 of you said it was so easy, make it hard, I'm fine. It was hard, but you pushed through it. 37.8% of you. 6.7 did not complete. 3.3% tried and kept failing. So, my apologies. Book with a recipe. This was the most common recipe. It was actually pretty hard to find out, but only 2 recipes were repeated, and that was the Thimblets from Legends and Lattes and the Golden Apple Christmas Cake from The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. I want to make this so bad. I don't know if this is the actual photo. I tried finding them on the interwebs, and I couldn't confirm, but this was an apple Christmas cake. I don't know if that's actually what it looks like, so don't take the photo with the grain of salt, if you will, because it's a recipe. That was a really bad pun. I need better puns. All right, our crowdsourced books. 2 of you read Ava's Demon by Michelle Jakowski. I don't know if that's how you say that name. I'm so sorry. 2 of you read King of Dust by Tycho Dwellis, and 2 read The Sapling Cage by Margaret Killjoy. That's a really unfortunate last name to have, by the way. Killjoy. God, you're such a killjoy. Ugh. Anyway, then 3 of you read my book, Humane Society for Creatures and Cryptids. 3 read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. Look, I'm on the same level as Brando Sando now, right? Is that how this works now? Do I get to use him for clout? I'm just kidding. But 4 of you read The Sunlit Man, which is the only one I have yet to read for the Kickstarter funded ones. I really need to read it. Let me know. Is it good? Let me know. Okay. Oh, wait, sorry. No, number 1, 8 was Tress of the Emerald Sea, which I have read, and rightly so. Tress of the Emerald Sea was amazing. Our most common adaptations. We had a lot of these. 2 people each read A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand, which is, I believe, Haunting of Hill House. Anna Kay, which is Anna Karenina. Huggerstone by Kat Dunn, which is Carmilla. In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, which is Pinocchio, and highly recommend. Mismatched by Anne Camlin, which is Emma. What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which I believe is Fall of the House of Usher. And Wicked by Gregory Maguire, which is The Wizard of Oz. Four of us did James by Percival Everett, which was Huckleberry Finn, and Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed. I also read this one for this prompt for Macbeth. And our most common source materials for this was Peter Pan, Dracula, and the Wizard of Oz. 3 people read that as their source material. 4 did Huckleberry Finn, Carmilla, Macbeth, and the Fall of the House of Usher. And 6 did Pride and Prejudice and Emma retellings. Just they didn't dupe it up because there's so many different Pride and Prejudice and Emma retellings that there was a lot. There was quite a lot. Our most common protagonist names. All right, so authors, if you're listening, don't name your protagonists this because these are the common ones. They're not unique enough. We have Anna, Devin, James, Jennifer, Nancy, Nicholas, Peter, and Thomas. 3 people had people with these names. 4 people had Charlotte, David, Emma, Emily, Hannah, John, Sam. Boom. 5 people had Alex, Charlie, Elizabeth. You're not allowed to name them this anymore. Matthew and Sarah. No more Sarahs. No more Matthews. They're done. You lose. Matthew, more like Matthew. His name stinks. I'm really bad at these puns right now. Most read summer books. We have Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury. 2 people read that one. 3 people read Beach Read and Happy Place by Emily Henry. And 8 people read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which I still need to read. Most read autumn books. We have 2. We had a lot of autumn books. Business Casual by B.K. Borson. Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. Garlic and the Vampire by Brie Paulson. Highly recommend. It's a cute, very cute graphic novel. Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. And October by Katja Balin. 3 people read The X-Hex by Aaron Sterling, The September House by Carissa Orlando, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore, and Pumpkinheads by Faith Erin Hicks, also a graphic novel and also adorable. 6 people read Autumn by Allie Smith. Pretty easy to read. Most read winter books. We had The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, The Nutcracker by Alexandra Dumas. Oh my God, I knew that. The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clark, and Winter by Allie Smith. We had 3 people reading these, 2 people reading these, guys. And Nightmare Before Christmas 1 with Sarah Rosh. Highly, highly, highly recommend reading this one. Most read spring books were Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Rosh, B.K. Borson's In the Weeds, Allie Smith's Spring, Sweet Bean Paste by Durian Sukegawa, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, and The Spell Shop by Sarah Betters. Highly, highly recommend. But 3 people read Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, The Enchanted April by Vintage Von Arnim, and We Could Be So Good by Kat Sebastian. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Our most read queer books. We have An Unkindness of Ghosts by River Solomon, which is intersex representation. Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe was lesbian representation. Also questioning representation for that one. Cattywampus as well by Ash von Otterloo, which is also intersex representation. The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White. Highly recommend. For trans protagonists, and also a bipan. 1 person submitted it for bipan. 2 others did for trans. Our most read queer, we're pretty even on across the board of where we were reading and where we submitted. So I think, is trans the most popular? Trans was the most popular. We had 19.8 books that were submitted for best queer book that were trans. 12.1% were intersex. 15.4% were gay. Bipan was 13.2%. Questioning was also 13.2%. Lesbian was 14.3%. And asexual was 12.1%. I think that was pretty good. We read pretty diversely and we enjoyed queer books pretty diversely. It was really nice to see that trend because I do think for a lot of things, like there's certain fetishizations and certain like, especially between like gay and lesbian books and sapphic books, I guess. Gay books tend to be the more popular of queer reads and lesbian books tend to be less popular because of stigma. And so I was really happy to see that we were enjoying kind of across the board of different books. So that was awesome. You guys are great. All right. Average letters for Spell Your Name. This is just the average number of letters we had to do. 18.16 letters per name. How many did mine have? 9, 12. Oh, I had 18. I had 18 to do. I'm part of the average. All right. Most read new releases for July was Chuck Tingle's Bury Your Gaze. 5 of us read Bury Your Gaze. 15 people read A Sorceress Comes to Call for August. I think this was the most This might have been the most read book, if memory serves. We'll find out. September was Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. I've also, by the way, for these first 3, I have read these. Nightmare Before Christmas for October, only 4. I also have read. The Teller of Small Fortunes for November was 12. I've also read this one. Now we finally get to the ones I haven't read. The Answer Is No by Frederick Bachman. 6 of you read it for December. Onyx Storm, 8 of you read it for January by Rebecca Yarros. February, Deep End by Allie Hazelwood. 5 of you read that. Sunrise on the Reaping, Suzanne Collins. March, 8 of you read that. We're back on board. I've read this one. April, we have The Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry and Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This one tied. I've read neither of these. For May, we have Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. 7 of you read it for May. Look it up real quick and make sure that I didn't just forget to do an entire, stat on this. Because, it's me, and I make mistakes a lot. What was June? No, wait, I put it as May. This is June. Sorry, I forgot May. May is not this. This is June. I totally messed up. May read was Brighter Than Scales, Swifter Than Flame by Neon Yang, and 6 of you read that one. This should be June. That's where I messed up. You can't get through a stats video without me messing up in some horrific way. That's just me. Okay. Favorite book genre in the Genres Challenge was not really a surprise that fantasy is the number 1, sci-fi being number 2, and I think historical was number 3, which that is surprising. I was honestly thinking horror would win it, but it got 4th place. Not bad. Our favorite book in the Rainbow Challenge for reds and greens. We had Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez for red, Half a Soul for for green by Olivia Atwater. Those were our top colors. Our favorite colors of books, though, however, were red, blue, and black. That was how we were, again, pretty even splits. Not too shabby. All right, overall, the best books of Herkyed. These are the favorite books across the board, regardless of the prompt they were submitted for. A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. And Death of the Author by Nettie Okorafor. 2 people submitted those. More, we actually have a couple of these. I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. Jade City by Fonda Lee. Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. For 3, our overall best, I don't think we had more than 3. We have Iron Widow by Shiranje Zhao. Mistborn, I clicked too fast, by Brandon Sanderson. And We Could Be So Good by Kat Sebastian. These are the best books, so if you haven't read them, I can say I've read all 3 of these, and I agree. These are fantastic books. We have one sci-fi, dystopian sci-fi, kind of dystopian high fantasy, and then historical romance, contemporary a bit here. So we have very diverse genres in that. But that's it. Good luck in 2.0. Me hopes you think you can survive. I don't know what I was doing. Good luck, or as I say, book luck. I'm really trying hard on the puns here, Maybe that has something to do with something. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye! Hello, cuties. That was bad. Hello, cuties. I cannot get this over my ear. I keep putting it in my ear. Oh, good. I'm yawning already. Hard. Stop yawning. Oh my God.